Hey all, new day, new verse as we continue on into Matthew. Today we are doing verses 17 to 25. And I know that's leaving out a little bit with verses 26 through 30 about the cup and the wine and communion, and we're going to dig into that later. Probably tomorrow, more than likely Wednesday, just because it's getting a blessing to get to actually walk this out instead of just preach here, because what is it? Let my life be always preaching, and when required, use words. So let's get on into Matthew. Today we're doing chapter 26, verses 17 through 25, and it is a lot of fun what we have to dig into, so let's get into it. Here we go. On the first day of the festival of unleavened bread, the disciples came to ask Jesus, "Where do you want us to prepare the Passover meal for you?" "As you go into the city," he told them, "you will see a certain man. Tell him, 'The teacher says, my time has come. I will eat the Passover meal with the disciples at your house.'" So the disciples did as Jesus told them, and prepared the Passover meal there. When it was evening, Jesus sat down at the table with the 12. While they were eating, he said, "I tell you the truth. One of you will betray me." Greatly distressed, each one of them asked in turn, "Am I the one, Lord?" He replied, "The one of you who has just eaten from this bowl with me will betray me. For the Son of Man must die, as Scriptures declare long ago. But how terrible it will be for the one who betrays him. It would be far better if that man, if he had never been born." Judas, the one who would betray him, asked, "Rabbi, am I the one?" And Jesus told him, "You have said it." I wanted to dig into this section because there is a beauty here to me. Slight spoilers ahead for what happens after Judas betrays Jesus. Eventually, and we'll cover this as we go, he betrays Jesus, realizing what he's done, eats at him, he throws the money back, and eventually hangs himself. And I find myself thinking about wrath, mercy, punishment, and love. And here's what I mean by this. Jesus here says it himself, how terrible it will be for the one who betrays him. It would be far better for that man if he had never been born. Jesus is also recognizing that Scripture says this must happen. And although it's not referenced in Matthew, it is in the other Gospels, where Jesus washed his disciples' feet, around the same time when this is happening. And I find myself realizing and being really taken up with the fact that Jesus fed Judas too. He washed Judas's feet too. He forgave him and loved him too. And when Judas eventually kills himself, it's not God's wrath turned upon him. The pain of what he has done, the realization of what he has done, eats at his heart to the point where he has nothing left to do but kill himself. Because he has become that broken and in pain. And I find myself thinking about how loving God is, about how merciful he is towards us, and about what our lives should look like if we're really walking it out. If Jesus feeds Judas, washes his feet, is there with him, doesn't that mean that we should start doing the same for those we call our enemy? To say nothing of the fact that we know through the text that we only have one enemy. Paul says we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities and spirits. In our hearts, we are Israel. We are literally those wrestling with God. We are wrestling our flesh, putting it away, and chasing after God. I find myself thinking, what if we have this all upside down and backwards? What if we have it completely confused and entirely wrong? See, we have these questions of mercy and justice and wanting to see things set right, and we beg God to do it. Yet all too often, in our begging to do it, we're also saying, "God, smite them. Lord, take them out. Lord, fix this because they're clearly evil." It mixes with the question of how can a good God allow all these evil things to happen? Well, if he were to remove that which does evil, the human species would be gone in an instant, because we're the ones who do it. We're the ones who cause the damage, the evil, the pain. We're the ones that are so obsessed with our own issues that we cast out other people even when they're family or friends, because, well, you're not my tribe. We forget the church is supposed to look like a hospital for the broken and the dying to be made well by the healer who truly can. We forget to give food as Jesus did to Judas. We forget to wash feet as Jesus did with Judas. We spend our lives trying to tell God how to mediate justice and how to dish it out and deal it. And we don't really spend our time thinking about the fact that God knows. And God loves us anyway. He's calling out the being betrayed. He's also saying it's supposed to happen in Scriptures. God is not surprised. Nothing we can do or will do will shock God. He already knows. More than that, He already chose and died in our place. He chose us. He died for us so we may truly live. And when we are in a place where we should be loving and forgiving and merciful like this, all too often, instead of just saying, yeah, what they're doing is wrong, I'm still going to love them, we don't bother actually living out or walking out the Beatitudes. We don't bother chasing after God's way of doing it. We get so entrenched in our hurt, so entrenched in our sorrow, so bogged down in the self, that we fail to see or really live out the mercy that God has for us. And so our minds get lost in this place of judgment and fear, forgetting what John says himself. Perfect love casts out all fear. Fear has to do with punishment. And if you are fearful of punishment, then love has not worked itself fully into you. All of this over and over and over again, saying, why are you doing it in a way that has never worked? Why are you hating others? Why are you trying to do things that have failed to work every single time? There's a beauty to get into, mind you, with verse 18 about God knowing exactly who, where, when, how, why, those He has called, those He has chosen. The simple act of obedience of those who say, well, yeah, but my God said so. So that's the end of the conversation and discussion. Because we are supposed to be that filled with zeal toward the Lord, but not zealotry. Not zealotry to the point where we're willing to sacrifice other people. Jesus said to himself, the greatest show of love you can show for your neighbor or your friend is to die in their place. Why would we not? Say nothing of the fact that if you kill somebody, they can learn nothing. But why would we want anyone to die without coming to know Jesus? We spend our lives, I hope they knew Jesus before they died. Most definitely. I hope we know Jesus now, while we're still alive. That our existence would reflect the kindness and the grace and the goodness that He pours out into us. The grace and love that is undeserved, unearned, unearnable, and poured out without reservation, chasing after us recklessly to the point where He died in our place. He makes us whole. He makes us new. If we truly believe what is in here, shouldn't we take a moment to wash the feet of our enemies? To feed those who we know will betray us? It's like, you're just blindly going into it. No, not at all. It's going where God says. Being set apart, even when we're in it. Because it's not supposed to look like a monastery of people who have segregated themselves from the world. The church is where the broken and the hurting and the dying are supposed to come for new life. So that their pain does not make us hate the poor and needy, does not make us despise the rich and affluent. Simply walking humbly with our God. So that even in the middle of a crowd, we are entirely set apart. Not by anything we've done or can do, simply by Him. All of it Him. He's the author and finisher of our faith. As Paul says, we neither make nor save ourselves. So why would we think that being human doings would get us anywhere? Accomplish anything? It's not the way we're designed. It's not the intent for our creation as image bearers. We are supposed to do biblical work, other-centric, other-oriented, love-based action. And in such intimate relationship with our God, as He changes and shapes us and works us anew, that love like this is not unfathomable, it's logical. More than that, it's necessary. Like, well, how could you wash the feet of somebody who's going to betray you? Because God washed mine. And I was doing the same. Because God, Jesus Christ, the Messiah, Jesus of Nazareth, died in my place. The one true Son of God, sent by God the Father, in a place of so much love, that in simple belief we do not perish. We have real everlasting life, and we chase after Him. And in relationship, He shapes us, molded by the potter's hands. Isn't it time we get past the Christian isms and really think about what they mean? Really think about who He is and who we are in Him. So that living that kind of love is not only logical, it's as required as a lub to the dub of a heartbeat. It is done because it is the nature of the thing. You know, the parable, of the frog and the scorpion. Oh, I won't sting you, says the scorpion. Ends up stinging them halfway across the river. Great, now we're both going to drown. Why did you do it? Scorpion says it's in my nature. What if we start taking that the Christian way, the real way? Why did you forgive them? Because it is my nature. Well, where did you get your nature from? Him. Not an earthly nature, but a new creation nature. Born of the Spirit and water. It's just a beautiful place of walking away from the world. Not pulling yourself back and going full monk Dead Sea Scrolls kind of thing, but no, walking away from its game so that when we go out, other people see that city on a hill light. A lamp on a lampstand without a shroud over it. Truly living the love that we are shown. Because He loved us first. Because He loves us first. That's the gift. That's the beauty. That's the point. Love God. Love others. It's pretty simple stuff. But we spend so much time to make it more and more complex to justify not doing it, that we end up putting a shroud in a place where the curtain was torn. Separating ourselves, trying to put a religion and boxes around God, rather than just saying, you know what, He loves me, so I shall love you. Teach me how to love, Lord. Real love. Agape love. Adult love. Human, not world. Image-bearing love. That is taught by Him. Put in us by Him. As we're made anew by Him. Trusting Him, laying it down, taking up our cross, following Him. Letting Him take away the parts of us that aren't really us to begin with, so that we can truly live anew. So that when you see betrayal, you can live in mercy. When you see heartache, you can offer love. Because God is greater. And we know it. And I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow, probably Wednesday, as we continue on for verses 26 to 30 with communion. And getting into it. I look forward to it. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Or Wednesday. We'll play it by ear. May His favor be upon you. Know that you are loved. And know that He will never let you go. So chase after Him. Till the moment of you making the choice to ignore Him becomes the last one you get to make. Use your free will wisely. Lest you fall away. Chase after Him so that you may truly live. I'll see you then. Be blessed, have fun, and enjoy the playground He's given as He walks us through it. I'll see you then.